Census Day is on 21st March 2021. The census is a survey that happens every 10 years and gives us a picture of all the people and households in England and Wales. By identifying as Jain, you will help make sure that we are considered in decisions on funding and services. This may include whether local hospitals serve Jain meals, schools teach Jainism in RE, or councils provide suitable care homes and crematoria. Census 2021 will be available in both electronic and paper formats. In both formats, question 16 asks for your religion. This is a voluntary question, but if you would like to be identified as Jain, here's your chance. Select Other and either write or type in Jain. So remember, choose Other, select Jain. You can get more help and information from your local Jain organization.
એકવીસમી માર્ચ 2021 વસ્તી ગણતરીનો દિવસ છે. આ ગણતરી દર 10 વર્ષે થાય છે અને ઇંગ્લેન્ડ અને વેલ્સના રહેવાસીઓની માહિતી મળે છે. જૈન તરીકે તમારી ઓળખ આપો તો ફંડ અને અન્ય સેવાઓ મેળવવામાં આપણી ગણતરી થાય. આનાથી સ્થાનિક હોસ્પિટલમાં જૈન ભોજન મળે, ધાર્મિક શિક્ષણ રૂપે શાળાઓમાં જૈન ધર્મ શીખવાય, કાઉન્સિલો કેર હોમ અને સ્મશાન ગૃહોની સગવડતા ઉપલબ્ધ કરે. વસ્તી ગણતરી ફોર્મ કાગળ ઉપર કે ડિજિટલી મળી શકશે. બંનેમાં પ્રશ્ન નંબર 16 તમારો ધર્મ કયો છે તે પૂછે છે. આ ફરજિયાત નથી, પણ જૈન તરીકે ઓળખાવા માટે આ સુંદર તક છે. તો અધર અન્ય પસંદ કરીને હાથે લખો કે ટાઈપ કરો જૈન. યાદ રહે, અધર પસંદ કરો અને જૈન છો તેમ જણાવો. વધુ માહિતી તમારી સ્થાનિક જૈન સંસ્થા તરફથી મળશે.
My name's Gareth Thomas. I'm the chair of the all-party group in the House of Commons for Jains, and I'm the Member of Parliament for Harrow West. On the 21st of March, it's National Census Day, and I want to encourage you to think in particular about question 16 of the census, because that's the chance to get Jainism in the UK properly recognised and properly understood. Question 16 is going to give you the choice of selecting which religion you want to be determined as. It's a voluntary question. You don't have to answer it, but if you're proud of your Jainism, make sure you choose Other first and then select Jain. Choose Other, select Jain. Question 16, National Census Day. Let's get Jainism properly recognised and understood in the UK. Thanks very much. Please take part.
Jai Janendra. This is Bob Blackman, MP for Harrow East and Vice Chairman of the All-Party Parliamentary Group for British Jains. On March 21st, we have the census in the United Kingdom. This census helps capture the details of everyone that lives in the United Kingdom, but also various facets about them, so that public bodies, be it local authorities, be it national government, and all sorts of sets of organisations, determine the type and structure of services that are going to be needed for the population of this country. It's therefore vitally important that on Census Day, on March 21st, you complete the census. Now, the important question for British Jains is question number 16. This is the question on religion. So when you answer question 16, which is voluntary, but we urge you to answer it, please tick other on religion and then write in Jain. That will enable the local authorities and the government to establish exactly the level of numbers of Jains in the United Kingdom, so we can then lobby to make sure that services and various different aspects of the religion are not only recognised but supported through public services. So just remember, March 21st, complete the census, question number 16, tick other, write in Jain. If you're completing the online version, it's easier to do because Jain is a drop-down window on the census. But the written version is very simple. Once again, March 21st, question 16, tick other, write in Jain. Jai Janendra.
Census Day is on 21st March 2021. The census is a survey that happens every 10 years and gives us a picture of all the people and households in England and Wales. By identifying as Jain, you will help make sure that we are considered in decisions on funding and services. This may include whether local hospitals serve Jain meals, schools teach Jainism in RE, or councils provide suitable care homes and crematoria. Census2021 will be available in both electronic and paper formats. In both formats, question 16 asks for your religion. This is a voluntary question, but if you would like to be identified as Jain, here's your chance. Select other and either write or type in Jain. So remember, choose other, select Jain. You can get more help and information from your local Jain organization.
એકવીસમી માર્ચ 2021 વસ્તી ગણતરીનો દિવસ છે. આ ગણતરી દર 10 વર્ષે થાય છે અને ઇંગ્લેન્ડ અને વેલ્સના રહેવાસીઓની માહિતી મળે છે. જૈન તરીકે તમારી ઓળખ આપો તો ફંડ અને અન્ય સેવાઓ મેળવવામાં આપણી ગણતરી થાય. આનાથી સ્થાનિક હોસ્પિટલમાં જૈન ભોજન મળે, ધાર્મિક શિક્ષણ રૂપે શાળાઓમાં જૈન ધર્મ શીખવાય, કાઉન્સિલો કેર હોમ અને સ્મશાન ગૃહોની સગવડતા ઉપલબ્ધ કરે. વસ્તી ગણતરી ફોર્મ કાગળ ઉપર કે ડિજિટલી મળી શકશે. બંનેમાં પ્રશ્ન નંબર 16 તમારો ધર્મ કયો છે તે પૂછે છે. આ ફરજિયાત નથી, પણ જૈન તરીકે ઓળખાવા માટે આ સુંદર તક છે. તો અધર અન્ય પસંદ કરીને હાથે લખો કે ટાઈપ કરો જૈન. યાદ રહે, અધર પસંદ કરો અને જૈન છો તેમ જણાવો. વધુ માહિતી તમારી સ્થાનિક જૈન સંસ્થા તરફથી મળશે.
પ્રણામ, મારું નામ યાની છે. હું 3 years old છું.
હું મારી
મહાવીર ફાઉન્ડેશન પાછળના ગ્રુપમાં સ્ટડી કરું છું. हम होंगे कामयाब, हम होंगे कामयाब, हम होंगे कामयाब. किस दिन 21 मार्च. टिक करो किस बॉक्स में हम सब जैन हैं.
Jai Jinendra, everybody. Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to this One Jain Gala event. Celebrate the census. We have been working on the census now for 3 years, and today is the weekend before the census starts rolling out the forms that you will get to the post. So that you can either online or through paper fill the forms out before March the 21st. And so today for us is a way of celebrating, a way of saying thank you, and a way of ensuring that if there's anything that we've missed, that we tell you about it, but also a way of understanding why this is so important. So in 2011, which was when the last census was done, we had 20,000 people identify as Jain. And when I look at that number, compared to the number we believe that we have, given that there are at least 65,000 Jains as an estimate from all the Jain communities in the UK, it's only a third. And the whole campaign has been for us to ensure that we recognize that there are more Jains, that the government recognizes there are more Jains, and that Jains are taken account of when we are looking at funding and other decisions. So the target we've set ourselves for this census is that at least 50,000 of us should tick the box or tick other and write Jain. And that way, through this program, you will see why it's important and also what it is that we're trying to do. So I want to say what a lovely way to start. The 2 3-year-olds that you saw there were the winners of the children's competition for the census that we had. But stay tuned, because a bit later on, we'll show you who the overall winner is. But for now, in Jain tradition, what I would like to do is start with prayers, and we're delighted that Pujya Samniji is here to recite prayers for us and to bless us. Pujya Samniji.
Om Reem Namo Arahantanam. Om Reem Namo Siddhanam. Om Reem Namo Ayariyanam. Om Reem Namo Uvajjhaya. Om Reem Namo Loye Sabbasahunam. Eso Panchanamokkaru Savvapav नासनो मङ्गलानं च सव्येसिं पाढमं हवै मङ्गलम् पाढमं हवै मङ्गलम्. I bow to Arhat, the enlightened ones. I bow to Siddha, the liberated ones. I bow to Acharyas, the religious gurus. I bow to Upadhyayas, the religious teachers. I bow to all the sadhus and sadhvis in this universe. This fivefold salutation destroy all the sins amongst all that is auspicious. This is the first and foremost auspicious. Om Arhat.
Thank you, Pujya Samniji. And so our journey begins today. We have over 20 people to talk to in the next hour or so. And so we are going to go through. We have an express train that's going to go through at warp speed. And I hope you enjoy the journey with us. So this journey started many years ago, 2 to 3 years ago. And in that time, we've been with Navin Bhai Shah, whom some of you may know as the chairman of the Greater London Authority, to 10 Downing Street and to deliver a 5,000 signature petition. We've had a debate about Jainism in the floor of the House of Commons. And we've had a campaign where we've met with the Cabinet Office ministers, with the Office of National Statistics, and it's been a tremendous journey. So the first part of the journey, if we're starting a train journey, where else would you start except Manchester? And I'm delighted that with us today, we have Shri Hiranbhai Vora, who is the president of Jain Samaj Manchester. Welcome, Hiranbhai. And really happy to have you here with us. So I wanted to ask you two questions, Hiranbhai. The first is that you've given the Jain Derasar as a COVID center, which is part of the Jain acts of compassion that we, look after other lives. And, for that, I think we're all very proud. And also the children's entries that you saw for the competition. You had a quiz like that for the children in Manchester. Tell us a little bit about that.
Thank you, Milbhai. I would first of all, congratulations to One Jain for organizing this amazing grand event for the betterment of our Jains in the UK. We were just fortunate to have organized a lot of events behind the campaign of Census. Yeah, COVID center was given. Jain Samaj was, I think, we given beginning of the year. And now it's been there for almost 3 months. So we are even thinking of extending it over. When this census thing came along, we had an idea of organizing this kids competition, and we had tremendous support. We also had our Greater Manchester's High Sheriff joining us with that event. And what we have seen is, as soon as we have included kids within this competition, the parents gets involved, their friend circle, everyone, it goes around and everyone gets involved, and we had a tremendous support on it. The entries we sent out to High Sheriff, he was extremely pleased about it. He was quite overwhelmed with the commitment we as a Jains shown to going behind the census, what we want to do, hit our target of 50,000 plus. He also expressly published an article in Manchester Evening News about our competition and kids competition and Jains overall, which had almost over 100,000 circulations within Manchester, Greater Manchester area. So it was a extremely well deserved exposure for us, Jain, where we wanted to head our competition in. And this competition with kids really picked up in the right spirit it meant to be. So that's about it. It was a very quick journey, and I'm glad One Jain also had a good success on the competition. It was very heartwarming to see those little kids with those entries. It was amazing, and the main important thing is in this age we are putting a seed in them, importance of our Jains and culture from this age. And it's that is also a byproduct of giving this kids competition, because they learn from very early on that how important it is for us to be identified in the right way on the books. So I'm glad One Jain has also worked on that ideas, and then I'm dying to see this entry, who is the winner of it. So Melbhai, let not keep us in more secret now. Can you just go on with this, please?
Thank you, Hiren Bhai. I think it's fair to say that even the Office of National Statistics contacted us about the item that the sheriff had written, and it basically is something that they circulated internally. So, very well done on that, and I think it's a tremendous achievement.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, our next speaker is from Aradham near Jamnagar in Gujarat, India. Param Pujya Acharya Shri Hemprabh Suriji Maharaj Sahib is somebody who is very well known to the Oshawa community, and somebody who has supported us tremendously when we've asked for any help. And we're delighted that he has joined us today to give us his blessings and his reflections on the Jain identity in this census. So can I introduce Pujya Acharya Shri?
Namo Varyantaram Namo Siddhanam Namo Airyanam Namo Vaicharam Namo Nesasavanam Eso Manjanamukkaro Savabhava Panasamo Mangalam Jasabeshim Padmam Havai Mangalam. हमारा परम गुरुदेव पन्यासी भद्रगी में कहता कि जैनना 4 फिरका लेकिन श्वेतांबर मूर्ति पूजक दिगंबर स्थानकवासी के 13 बंदी બધા નૌકારના પદોથી તો એક છે. તો વાત એવી છે કે હમણાં સાંભળવા મળ્યું કે લંડનની અંદર એટલે ઇંગ્લેન્ડમાં વસ્તી ગણતરી આ ચાલુ 2021 સાલમાં થવાની છે. તેમાં આજ સુધી જૈનોની સંખ્યા છે તો ઘણી, તો બધા ફિરકાઓ જે હમણાં બોલી ગયો શ્વેતાંબર દિગંબર સ્થાનકવાસી કે તેરાપંથી એ બધા જૈન છે. તો આ વસ્તી ગણતરીમાં જૈન તરીકે નોંધણી બધાએ કરાવવી જોઈએ. એના માટે મેં જાણ્યું અમે તો કે જે હોય છે ને કરવાનું, એમાં અધરનો એક આ ખાનો છે. અધરમાં ટીક કરીએ તો એમાં જુદા જુદા બધા આવે, એમાં જૈનનું પણ એક જુદું આપેલું છે. હવે એ જૈનનું લઈ અને એમાં જો નોંધ કરવામાં આવે અને નોંધ કરવી જોઈએ તો જેના એ કરવાથી જૈન તરીકે એટલે એક તો સાચી સંખ્યા આવશે, અને 25,000 30,000 જૈનો હોય ક્યારેક એ બધા આ ભાવથી ભેગા પણ થઈ શકે. અને જો આપણે બહુ અલ્પ દેખાઈએ છીએ તો વિશેષ પણ બધાને ખ્યાલ આવે, અને એ રીતે જૈન તરીકેનો ગૌરવ વધશે. અરસપરસ જૈનત્વના ભાવોથી ભાવિત બનેલા આત્માઓને જૈન ધર્મની મહાનતાનો અનુભવ થશે, અને જેનો લાભ દરેક જે ત્યાં રહેનારા પુણ્યાત્માઓ છે એમને મળી શકશે. આ બાબત ત્યાં આના માટે નેમુભાઈ ચંદરિયા અને વિનોદભાઈ કપાશી ખૂબ સારો પ્રયત્ન કરે છે, તે ખૂબ જ પ્રશંસનીય છે. તો બધા ગૌરવપૂર્વક કે આપણે જૈન છીએ એ જાતની નોંધણી કરવાથી સાચો આંકડો આવશે. આંકડા કરતાં પણ આપણે જૈન ધર્મના છીએ અને જૈન ધર્મ કુદરતે જ તીર્થંકર પરમાત્મા સ્થાપેલો ધર્મ એટલે ખૂબ મહાન ધર્મ છે. તો એ રીતે પૂર્વના જે મહાપુરુષો એ ત્યાં જઈને પરદેશમાં જૈન ધર્મનો એ ખ્યાલ અપાવ્યો હતો, એમ આપણને પણ આવા બેનિફિટ મળી રહેશે. એટલા માટે ખાસ શ્રી વજ્રસેન વિજયજી મહારાજ તરીકે એમના વતી હું કહી રહ્યો છું કે આમાં આપણે બધા એક હમ સબ એક હૈ અને આપણે બધા જૈનત્વથી એક છીએ એવા ભાવ પ્રગટ.
Pujya Acharya Shri. So many of us, in fact all of us, felt a lot of pride when in December Her Majesty the Queen mentioned the Jain community in her Christmas message. And also during Diwali when the BBC was scrolling throughout the day that thousands of Jains, Hindus and Sikhs were celebrating Diwali on this day. And it is this awareness of the Jain community that we want to bring through the census. Now, one person who has done a tremendous amount to help us with that is the chairman of the Jain All-Party Parliamentary Group, the MP for Harrow West, the Honourable Gareth Thomas, who I'm delighted to say is here with us. And Gareth led the first ever debate on the floor of the House of Commons on the value, the impact, the contribution of the Jain community in the UK. So welcome, Gareth. And I'd like to start by asking you to kind of just reflect on that, the historic parliamentary speech that you made and the response from Rishi Sunak, if I remember correctly.
It's funny. I suppose I feel like that was the sort of an end point, a particular end point of a journey for me in terms of getting to know the Jain community. I mean, Harrow, the area I'm privileged to represent part of, must be one of the areas of the UK with the largest number of Jains proportionally in our sort of population. And yet it was a community that I, if I'm honest with you, wasn't really aware of when I was first elected sort of 20 years ago. So it's been a gradual process of getting to know the Jain community and then to be privileged to be chosen to chair the all-party group and then ultimately to lead the debate on the floor of the House of Commons. And as you say, there is an irony. Perhaps that speech that Rishi Sunak gave under pressure from us is what propelled him to be Chancellor of the Exchequer. We can only make that assumption, I think. But it seems to me we've got to make the next step, which is to get the number of Jains and therefore the significance of Jainism properly recognised by the authorities in the UK. And that means critically getting everybody who's a Jain who wants to be recognised as such to fill in the right boxes in the census coming up.
So it's interesting. I was looking at the same figures earlier today, Gareth, and in the last census in 2011, even though we appreciate that the numbers are low, almost 23% of all respondents were in Harrow. So it's a significant part of the Jain community. And I know as a Harrow MP, you campaign a lot for Norfolk Park and, the schools and so on. So what are your views? What does ticking the Jain box mean in terms of the services that we see, provided by, the hospitals, the local council, the schools and so on?
Well, I think, it will make a difference even in Harrow, where the local authority has to take account of the different communities that it serves and make sure, services are reflective of the needs of the local population. But I mean, whilst, and forgive me for anybody who feels insulted, whilst I think the best Jains live in Harrow West, if you'll forgive me for being unashamedly parochial in saying that, I know there are strong Jain communities across the rest of the UK, and it's quite possible, in fact, I think highly likely, the local authorities don't recognise just how many Jains they have, and whose hospitals, whose libraries, whose schools don't recognise that they need to be aware of the traditions of Jainism, both in terms of the approach to funerals, the approach to food, the culture and religious significance of the Jain community as well. So that's something at individual borough level matters, but also internationally, but also nationally, I beg your pardon. Whilst it has begun to be a bit more awareness, thanks to the efforts of the Institute of Jainology and others, to grow the profile of the Jain community. The census is the definitive bit of evidence that helps to move things on further. So we can use the census data, I hope, to put pressure on institutions like the BBC to have more programming that reflects the contribution of Jains and Jainism into the UK, and then a range of other cultural institutions like museums and libraries, etc. And then similarly, other public bodies in their national planning will have to take account of the Jain community. If, as I suspect, there is, the 2011 census was a significant underreporting of the size of the Jain community in the UK. And that's why, the run up to March matters so much, that we get the word out to the Jain community that if you're proud of being a Jain, if you want to be registered as a Jain, you've got to fill the census form in properly and be seen to make the community's voice heard.
You're reputed by many to be the only Jain MP in Westminster currently. And as chair of the Jain All-Party Parliamentary Group, you've worked really hard with us to try and get the Jain tick box. And, perhaps if it wasn't for COVID and the election last year, we may even have succeeded. What are your thoughts on how the campaign went and what we've been able to achieve in bringing awareness?
Well, whilst there'll always be a little bit of the Jain in me, I'd like to see some of those who come from within the Jain community, who are active perhaps already in political parties, becoming MPs in the House of Commons and giving that that direct political representation and voice to the Jain community. But I think we've come a long way with the Office for National Statistics in terms of the campaign. I'd like it to have gone further. I'd like us to have succeeded in getting them, within the paper census form to recognise the opportunity to give Jains a tick box there. But to be fair to the ONS, they are doing their bit now to try and help every Jain register by working with Institute and with the all-party group to raise awareness of the census and the Jain tick box. So, as I say, we've come a long way, but even after this census, I think there'll be work for us to do, Mehul.
Absolutely. So I just want to end by saying a very big thank you for your chairmanship of the Jain All-Party Group, your efforts in helping us get to this level, and also for making time for us today. I know it's a Saturday, it's beautifully sunny outside. So thank you for being on with us today, and have a great weekend.
Oh, thanks very much. And it's a privilege to chair the All-Party Group, and I hope that Jains will be invading the House of Commons for a meeting of the All-Party Group very soon. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you so much.
Cheers and have a good weekend, everybody.
Thank you so much,
you.
Gareth. So from Gareth and the House of Commons, our train now moves to Potters Bar, and I'm delighted that the president of the Oshwal Association of the UK is also here with us today, Shri Nilesh Bhai Shah. Welcome to the event, Nilesh Bhai. And what I wanted to ask you is that in the last census, about 17%, which is quite significant, of people had health issues, Jains that is, had health issues that required care. And this idea of care is something that is increasing with an aging population and the population now under pressure because of COVID. How do you think, this census and our campaign, the One Jain campaign to vote Jain, will help local authorities plan for, long-term care of Jains, care homes, and things of that sort?
Hi, Jai Jayendra Badan. Yes, it certainly will help. First of all, the statistics which will be built in taking this form will give us Jain identity for many of the local councils, government bodies, other institutions, and industries. So certainly this will have a big impact on the various bodies, which will help us to look after our care for the care homes, building the care homes, and also what are the requirements, especially in terms of for the Jain people, what their needs are, what the requirements are. So they will facilitate this idea of what the Jains are required to have in terms of their principles, especially as you know, the principles of the Jainism are non-violence, non-attachments, self-discipline, and accepting that the truth has many aspects and sides. And certainly these principles will enable for a lot of these bodies to take into consideration in terms of these caring the very people who requires their help. So certainly by ticking this box, not only it will help us to build up a data for how many Jains are there, because don't forget this statistics or the census comes after every 10 years, and this is the opportunity which we must not miss, and hopefully this will help all of us in building this data for all of us here.
Thank you, Nilesh Bhai. So in terms of the data, I mean, the one other thing that is also really revealing about the data in terms of the Jain population is that it is now becoming an aging population, and we see that there are health issues that not just because of COVID, but underlying health issues that Jains and the Indian population generally seem to have around things like diabetes, heart problems, cholesterol, and so on. And again, just your thoughts about how you think the communities can help deal with this, and how the census will help in these things.
Yes. First of all, as a Jain communities, all the Jain communities and others, there are things which we as an association has been trying to organize a lot of these webinars, a series of webinars, and that webinars will obviously give more insight of the problems for the aging populations which we are facing. And the webinars are obviously been broadcast and giving the insight of what can and what cannot be done and how it will help. And it's very useful using the professional peoples from the various bodies and various medical people who are coming on board to give us these lectures and portraying their expertise and opinions, what should be done. So that should really help as well on that matter.
That's excellent. So thank you so much, Nilesh Bhai, for your contribution. And we look forward to working with you and all the communities in the next 3 weeks to get a successful census completed.
Thank you again.
So from Potters Bar, we take our train to UP in northern India. And in UP, we have Param Pujya Munishri Veer Sagar Ji Maharaj Sahib, who some of you may recognize as a disciple of Vidyasagar Ji Maharaj Sahib, probably one of the best known current Digambar Munis. And we're blessed to have him with us to share his message and his blessings. Pujya Munishri.
Vajjayadam namo loe salvasahudam देवादिदेव अहिंसा के पुजारी भगवान महावीर स्वामी की संत श्रोमणी आचार्य गुरुवर श्री विद्यासागर जी महाराज की। एक सम्यक दृष्टि श्रावक जो होता है उसके 8 अंग होते हैं सम्यक दर्शन के। उसमें एक सबसे प्रमुख अंग होता है प्रभावना का। धर्म की रक्षा के लिए, अहिंसा की रक्षा के लिए, प्राणी मात्र की रक्षा के लिए भगवान महावीर के, लॉर्ड महावीरा के मेन प्रिंसिपल to live and let live, जियो और जीने दो। इस सिद्धांत को प्रसारित करने के लिए बड़े बड़े महान आचार्यों ने अपना जीवन समर्पण कर दिया। आचार्य अकलंक देव और आचार्य निकलंक देव ऐसे दो महान व्यक्तित्व हुए हैं जैन इतिहास में। निकलंक जी ने अपना बलिदान ही दे दिया सिर्फ धर्म की प्रभावना के लिए, धर्म को दुनिया तक पहुंचाने के लिए। जितनी भी जैन पॉपुलेशन है अब इस होने वाले सेंसस में अपना नाम एज ए जैनिज्म अवश्य कोट करें, ताकि दुनिया के समक्ष जो गवर्नमेंट फैसिलिटी प्रोवाइड करने वाली है, लंदन गवर्नमेंट, अभी वो जैनिज्म को काउंट करती ही नहीं है। उनके कॉलम में हिंदुइज्म है, बुद्धिस्ट है, इस्लामिक है, क्रिश्चियन है, फारसीज है, लेकिन जैनिज्म उन्होंने निगलेक्ट कर दिया है। इट्स जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ लैक ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन among the Jain population. So I appeal to all the Indians who follow the Zen traditions and Zen philosophy. They must participate in this coming census and must mention as a Jain, be proud of your philosophy, be proud of your principle, be proud of the speech Bhagwan Mahavir has given to all the universe, whole world, and spread their principle for humanity, for kindness, ahimsa, and all the Jainism's main dharma. The main dharma is to live and let live. वो काम यहाँ पर इस भारत देश में, इंडियन कंट्रीज में आचार्य अकलंक देव और निकलंक ने कर दिया है, वही काम आप इंडिया से दूर रहकर के, एब्रॉड में रहकर के भी पार्टिसिपेट करके कर सकते हैं, और ये बहुत अच्छा संदेश इस दुनिया के लिए जाएगा, एक यूनिटी का संदेश। लेकिन ये तब पॉसिबल होगा जब आप उस सेंसस में अपना नाम अवश्य मेंशन करोगे। इस टाइम आप ये भूल लेना कि आप श्वेतांबर हो, दिगंबर हो, तेरहपंथी हो, बीसपंथी हो, एब्रॉड में आप सिर्फ भगवान महावीर के फॉलोअर हो, जैन ट्रेडिशन के फॉलो करने वाले हो, जैन प्रिंसिपल के फॉलो करने वाले हो। इसलिए दोनों हाथों से सभी लोगों को आशीर्वाद, इस सेंसस में अवश्य पार्टिसिपेट करें और बहुत सभी लोगों को मोटिवेट करें और इस मैसेज को सभी लोगों तक पहुंचाएं जो जैन धर्म को फॉलो करते हैं, बहुत अच्छे से पार्टिसिपेट करें। नहीं कहकर अपनी बात को समाप्त करते हैं। बोलिए आचार्य परमेश जी, गुरुदेव विद्यासागर जी महाराज की।
Pujya Manishri, Vandami, Namansami, and thank you so much for your blessing and message. So last census in 2011 was interesting because amongst the Jain community, one statistic that was really interesting was that 59% of all those who responded as Jain said that their first language was English. And it is true that, you know, all the Jain communities are now working hard to attract the young people, make their facilities ready, and also to, you know, put programs that work for them. And in that regard, I'm really happy that Shri Ketanbhai Adani, the Vice President of Navnath Vanik Association, is here with us today. Welcome, Ketanbhai. And I wanted to ask you, Navnath has become a COVID vaccination center. It's doing a lot of programs for young people. Its COVID Zoom programs are now well known everywhere. Just your thoughts and reflections on how Navnath is progressing in this, and attracting the younger crowd and becoming better known into the local community around Hayes.
Thank you, Mehul. Jai Jainendra, everyone. Yes, you're very right, Mehul. So with Navnath being chosen as a COVID center, we are very grateful. We work with the local clinical commissioning group, and we had our Navnathi Sunny, who was instrumental in offering Navnath. And since the beginning of January, that Navnath has become a COVID center, we've had like more than 21,000 people vaccinated. And in the recent few weeks, we are vaccinating around 800 people per day, which is very good. It is all going to take us into the right direction, and hopefully we'll all be able to resume our new normal life by the summer. What Navnath has been around since 1970, and we are very grateful, and we have been blessed to have some very good people within Navnath who offer their voluntary services. So when COVID happened, Navnath traditionally we have the Friday Vadil group, we have the Tuesday Vadil group as well, our Jalsa club. So Navnath has been used very frequently, right? Twice or thrice a week, people come into the center. And as you mentioned with one of our earlier speakers, that our Jain community, our Navnath community, including Vaishnavas, right? The age profile is increasing. So we had to think of offering something that keeps them occupied and keeps them connected with the community. So very quickly, we were able to start with Zoom, and within the community, we had our webmaster, Nemish Mehta, and a few very good volunteers, including most of the people who actually work with the Vadil. So they are the Vadil members picked up being part of the Zoom team. And we offered variety of programs to keep our community engaged, religious, cultural, spiritual, even Bollywood singing, and also financial talks. So that is the way kind of Navnath try to be connected. In terms of working with the local community, right? We are also engaged with the local councillors. We've recently, only last week or couple of weeks ago, I think, the mayor of Hillingdon visited us, Teji Bans. She's taken a small YouTube video actually, and she's putting it on the website of Hillingdon. And we with the cultural programs that we run of Navratri, Janmashtami, we have our local councillors, the mayors, and the local MPs actually visiting us on a regular basis. So that's how we try to increase our profile and also try and serve the community.
That's fantastic to hear. So I wanted to ask you, Ketan Bhai, compared to 10 years ago, what are your thoughts about how much awareness there is in Navnath now about the census and about making sure that people vote for the right religion and ethnicity and all these things? Do you think that is now becoming something that people have heard 2 or 3 times and they're aware of it?
I can, from personal experience, say yes, definitely. I think One Jain has helped us considerably in raising the profile, right? I came, I don't even remember the last census, so I can't say whether I did the tick as a religion, as a Jain. But, traditionally people from India, we say, okay, generally it goes as Hindu. But with this, with the work that One Jain has been doing, with the number of web shots that we have been sending out, and with all of the communities working together, our webmaster, as you mentioned, Nemish, and working with the One Jain team, I think the information definitely has spread quite a lot. And in the Zoom meetings that we have now, in the Zoom discussions that we have, the programs, we are drumming the message through that people should select the right religion and mention that we have, take Jain, others, and select Jain. So yes, that definitely has improved my opinion.
Thank you so much, Ketan Bhai. Lovely to hear, and thank you for being with us today. Thank you so much. Jai Jinendra. And from Navnath in Hayes, we're happy to move to Mumbai in Maharashtra in India, and to get the blessings of Param Pujya Bhai Shri. Many of you will know Raj Sobhag and will know that Bhai Shri is a frequent visitor to the UK, so we're really happy that he's here with us on this occasion. Pujya Bhai Shri.
ઓમ યુકેના સર્વે જૈન ભાઈઓ બહેનોને જય જિનેન્દ્ર પ્રણામ. સનાતન જૈન ધર્મ કે જે અનાદિકાળથી છે અને અનંત જીન ચોવીસીઓ થઈ ગઈ, અવિરોધ એવું જૈન દર્શન સંપૂર્ણ છે અને તેની આરાધનાથી જીવ બધા દુઃખથી મુક્ત બની શકે છે. પણ વિશ્વના મોટા ભાગના લોકો જૈન દર્શનનું નામ પણ જાણતા નથી. વર્તમાનમાં જૈનો આખા વિશ્વમાં ફેલાયેલા છે અને જે દેશમાં વસવાટ કરે છે તે દેશ તરફથી અનુકૂળ સુવિધાઓ મળે તો તેઓ સારી રીતે આરાધના કરી શકે. યુકેમાં અલગ અલગ ધર્મના આરાધકોને તેમની આરાધના સારી રીતે થઈ શકે તે માટે સરકાર તરફથી સુવિધાઓ મળી રહી છે. પણ સરકારના લિસ્ટમાં જૈન ધર્મનું તો નામ જ નથી. પણ હવેથી સરકારના લિસ્ટમાં જૈન ધર્મનું નામ ઉમેરાય તેવી તક આપ સૌએ ઝડપી લેવાની છે. 21 માર્ચના યુકેમાં વસ્તી ગણતરી થઈ રહી છે. આપ સર્વે ફોર્મ ભરો ત્યારે આપ જૈન છો તેવી ઓળખ આપશો. યુકેના બધા જ જૈનો ફોર્મ ભરશો તો આપને ઘણી સુવિધાઓ પ્રાપ્ત થશે, જેમ કે કેન્દ્ર કે સ્થાનિક સરકાર, શાળાઓ, હોસ્પિટલ કે જાહેર સેવાઓમાં જૈન લોકોની ખાસ જરૂરિયાતો ધ્યાનમાં લેવાશે, જેમ કે હોસ્પિટલમાં ભોજન અને ધાર્મિક સેવાઓ, શાળાઓમાં જૈન શિક્ષણ અને સ્થાનિક સરકારી સંસ્થાઓમાં કેર હોમ અને સ્મશાનમાં પણ જીવોને એટલે કે જૈનોને સગવડ મળી રહેશે. દરેક જૈનોએ આ ફોર્મ ભરતા પોતે જૈન છે તેમ દર્શાવવું એ તેની નૈતિક ફરજ છે. મોટી ઉંમરના લોકોને ફોર્મ ભરવામાં મદદગાર થવું જોઈએ. ત્યાંની જૈન સંસ્થાઓએ પણ બધા જૈનો ફોર્મ ભરે તેવું આયોજન કરવું જોઈએ. આમ કરવાથી જૈનોને સુવિધાઓ તો મળશે, પણ જૈન દર્શનથી વધુ અને વધુ લોકો પરિચિત બનશે. બાળકોને જૈન સંસ્કારોની પ્રાપ્તિ થશે, ધર્મનો ફેલાવો થશે. આટલી વાત કર્યા પછી છેલ્લે કોરોના મહામારીનો ઉપદ્રવ ચાલી રહ્યો છે એવા સમયે આપ સર્વેનું શરીર સ્વાસ્થ્ય સારું રહે એવી એક શુભેચ્છા વ્યક્ત કરી અને હું અહીં મારી વાત પૂરી કરું છું. અસ્તુ. જય જિનેન્દ્ર.
Jai Janendra Pujya Bhai Shri, and thank you so much for that message. So from Mumbai, we now go to Kenton in Harrow, and as we said earlier, 22% of the Jain community in 2011 said they were in Harrow. When you add Brent and Barnet, that's probably quite a significant population. And in Kenton, we have the Mahavir Foundation Temple, which is a hub of community activity in Harrow and Brent. And I'm delighted that the president, Yogesh Bhai, is here with us today. Welcome to the event, Yogesh Bhai. And I wanted to ask you that when you look at the population of Jains in this area, and you look at what Mahavir Foundation has been doing in increasing the properties it has, I believe there are 3 properties now. How do you believe that what One Jain is doing with the census to bring awareness helps you with your dealings with both the community and the local council? Yogesh Bhai, do you have your microphone off by any chance? We still can't hear you, Yogesh Bhai. We still can't hear you. I think that's better.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Welcome, Yogesh Bhai.
Sorry about that. Jai Jinendra, pranam to all of you, and hope you are keeping well and safe in these challenging times. Mehul Bhai, thank you for letting me on. Basically, as you know, any organization council or government or anyone, they are making their decision based on statistical data. And statistical data is the key tool they use for their spend or their decisions. And when we were applying for any planning or any change of use of our properties, the council or the local authority was looking at the statistical data. And when they look at their books, there was 0 for Jains, because up till now, there has been no census which will show that there were Jains in in our vicinity. Now, this year's census will help us put Jains in the picture, and when they make their decisions, they look at the bucket where there are number of Jains, there are enough number of people who are following Jain religion, and that will give them more support to make a decision our way. So I think that everyone who is Jain, who is believing in Jain, should take the right box, put Jain in there, and then we will, I'm sure all the government and all the authorities will take note of that.
I absolutely agree, Yogesh. And do you find that with what you're now doing and the popularity of the temple you have in Kenton, that there is a lot of awareness about Jainism and the census now?
My personal belief is that there's a lot of awareness of it. People are understanding. They've made a note of it, that what they have to do, and we have been sort of promoting it like once every fortnight since we started the campaign. And as I said, my belief is that they are strictly aware of it and they'll be following it. And I'm sure we'll become winners.
Thank you so much, Yogesh Bhai, and thank you so much for your support and for spreading the awareness. And I think it will help all of us to get the recognition and the support that we need from public services. So thank you again so much, Jai Jinendra.
Thank you, Jai Jinendra.
And from Yogesh Bhai in Kenton, our next stop is in Bihar and Virayatan, where we have Pujya Acharya Shri Channaji Maharaj Sahib. So many of you will know that Acharya Shri has been to the UK on a number of occasions, and that both Channa Vidyapeeth School and Virayatan are founded with her blessings. So we're delighted that she's able to join us today, and we welcome her message and her blessings. Pujya Acharya Shri.
जैन समाज ने शताब्दियों से जन समाज की सेवा में अपने आप को हमेशा आगे रखा है। अनेक पृष्ठ हैं, अनेक कथानक हैं, अनेक प्रसंग इस प्रकार के हैं कि जब भी कभी किसी को भी जरूरत पड़ी है, बराबर जैन समाज लोक कल्याण के मार्ग पर आगे रहा है। मैं उस सेवा को उन्होंने बहुत एक आध्यात्मिक आधार दिया, और इसलिए जो प्रसिद्धि उस तरफ में कभी समाज गया नहीं। उसी का ये परिणाम हुआ कि जो रिकग्निशन समाज को मिलना चाहिए वो नहीं मिला, और समाज भी छोटा था, और उसके काम की कितनी भी बड़ी व्यापकता हो, लेकिन उस व्यापकता के बाद में भी उस तरह से उसको जो पब्लिसिटी के लिए प्रयत्न किया जाना चाहिए था, उसमें हमारी इस समाज की क्षति रही है। आज भी जहाँ कहीं पर भी सामाजिक दृष्टि से कहीं पर भी सेवा की ज़रूरत पड़ती है, एक परिवार भी होगा गांव में, वह भी गांव वालों के लिए निश्चित रूप से सोचेगा, आसपास के लोगों के लिए सोचेगा। और बड़ी से बड़ी आपत्तियाँ आई है देश पर, समाज पर, संघ पर, तो उस समय समाज ने आगे आकर के, जैन समाज ने आगे आकर के सेवा का काम किया है। तो मेरी दृष्टि से हमें आज फिर से एक जागृत होकर के व्यापकता से, और इस विषय में मैं विराटन की बात भी करती हूँ, लाखों ऑपरेशन हो चुके हैं, लेकिन एक छोटा सा, एक कहीं पर भी समाज तो समाज बहुत दूर है, लेकिन स्थानीय लोगों तक भी उसकी पूरी जानकारी या स्थानीय सरकार में या समाज में या न्यूज़पेपर्स में जो उसकी पब्लिसिटी होनी चाहिए मीडिया के माध्यम से, वो नहीं हम कर पा रहे हैं। चूँकि हमारा दृष्टिकोण थोड़ा सा आध्यात्मिक होने से एक प्रसिद्धि से दूर रहने के भाव के कारण हम उस दिशा में हम सोच नहीं सके। लेकिन आज समाज की आवश्यकता हो गई है कि उसको हम पब्लिसिटी करें, क्योंकि जैन समाज में भी एक बहुत बड़ा ऐसा वर्ग है जिस वर्ग को सहयोग की अपेक्षा है, और उस सहयोग के लिए हम अगर एक तरह से बहुत सारे साधन कि जो सहयोग के लिए आगे आ रहे हैं तो उसका लाभ उन सबको प्राप्त हो सके, इसके लिए हमें प्रयत्न करना चाहिए। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you for your message, Pujya Acharya Shri, and for your kind blessing. And we look forward to seeing you again when your next visit to London happens after the end of the lockdown. So from Viraitan, we now go to Harrow on the Hill and to Jain Vishwa Bharati. And I'm delighted that Sri Rajesh Bhai Jain, who is one of the trustees of JVB, is here with us today. Now, one of the things that many of you may not know is that Samni ji, in all the things that she does here, provides a lot of chaplaincy services to those who are in hospital, whether they be ill or requiring just some support, somebody to talk to, or in some unfortunate cases when they're about to pass away, need someone to recite Santara or give them, end of life prayers. And this is one of the key things that the census will, provide for us, because hospitals will know the population that lives around them. So Rajesh Bhai, welcome to the event, and I just wanted to ask you to reflect a little bit about this service that Samniji provides to the Jain community at large.
Thank you very much, Mehul Bhai. Thanks for allowing me to board your superfast train. Yes, as you rightly said, Samnijis are quite involved in the chaplaincy services, and I'm pleased to say that it is not only for Jains, but beyond the Jain community, she has supported many people. I think that is the ultimate wish for any individual. Apart from that, Samnijis are also involved in providing religious education, social and emotional support. And unfortunately, during this crisis or the COVID-19 pandemic, there were several cases wherein Samnijis were able to sort out and support the people, maybe it domestic violence or aggression or mental depression. So I think they have taken care of the emotional support of the people and the families.
And I think in that there is another question that always comes to my mind, which is that one of the things that we hear about this is that there is a number of people who are now suffering from mental illness or depression or some of these things because of what COVID has done over the last year. How is Samniji helping in this regard?
Okay, so there are two things. One is there are regular programs which are happening on a daily basis, may it be stavans and stotras, may it be meditation sessions, yoga sessions. So, and apart from that, Samnijis are also available for individual counseling. Many acute cases wherein it does require personal intervention, it does require blessings from somebody who is not really physically or materially attached to the issue, and that's where Samniji has been helping quite a lot.
Absolutely, and I'm hopeful that through this census, what we'll be able to do is get more hospitals to recognize that there are Jains in the area, and to ask for better chaplaincy services. And we're really grateful and proud of what Samniji does for our community. Thank you so much, Rajesh Bhai, and you're welcome to stay with us on our train for the rest of the journey.
Thank you very much.
From here, you'll be glad to know that we're off to London to receive the message of Pujya Acharya Shri Mahashramanji Maharaj Sahib. And his message today is going to be read to us by Samniji, Dr. Pratibha ji, who is, I'm delighted to say, with us today to give us his message. Pujya Samniji.
Om Arham. The Jain community of the United Kingdom of around 60,000 is mostly made up of Jains who started migrating to East Africa from India around 1890s. The Jains assimilated well in their new countries and played a significant role in the region's development. Similarly, the Jains have settled well in the UK since the beginning of their migration from East Africa and as well as India, starting around the second half of the 20th century. They have made enormous progress in commerce, profession, education, etc. However, in comparison to other religious communities, our presence is not very evident. Our voice is faint. We are not on the radar. It is a sad observation that Jainism, being one of the oldest religions, still awareness of our religion and culture is on the low side. As a community, we can positively contribute in the national debate through our philosophy of non-violence, anekantvad, multiplicity of viewpoint, and peaceful coexistence. We can bring more awareness of Jain art and architecture, as well as Jain scriptures and festivals. Even though we are vegetarians, our participation in the dialogue of global warming and food security is not at desired level. Jains can bring awareness of the health benefits of yoga and meditation through media and other channels. This is why it is very important when completing the form for census, we state our religion as Jain in the appropriate box. This action will not only ensure that we get our fair share of resources from central as well as local government, but we will get a platform in the debate about the burning issues of our times, not only for our benefit, but also for the benefit of our future generations. Thank you.
Thank you, Samniji, for your kind and considered message. And now from Harrow and the Hill, I'm delighted that we can take our train up to Leicester. And for those of you who've been to Leicester, it's definitely an oasis. And in the middle of that oasis, we have that beautiful and iconic Jain temple. And I'm delighted that the president of Jain Samaj Leicester, Ushaben Mehta, is here with us today. So Ushaben, a very warm welcome to you to our Gala event. And I wanted to ask you, the efforts we're putting in to try and raise awareness and bring awareness of both Jainism and the census, how do you think it's going to help Jain Samaj Leicester and all that you do there for the community?
Jai Jinendra and Pranam. Thank you to One Jain and Mehul Bhai for this platform. Jain Center Leicester. Right. The inclusion of Jain religion in the census would highlight the importance and principles of Jain religion to the multicultural society we live in UK, more so in the Midlands, as the census body has a direct influence in policy making and fundraising with local council, central government and NHS, would be beneficial. In many needs of Jain centers, Jain Samaj Europe, and all Jain devotees that are in and around Midlands, such as chaplaincy needs, hospital and school dietary needs, organ donation, cremation needs, grants, religious education, care homes. A lot of things have been mentioned by the past speakers, and all those things are very important, especially as we get into, as our elderlies are living longer, the needs are getting different. The needs of our youngsters are getting different in this multicultural society. So I think that having a number, a statistic behind census would help us. Statistics will not just be a number, it will be a powerful Jain community to achieve all this for our devotees. As Jain Center has dominated Leicester city centre for the last over 35 years, we have actually built up a beautiful relationship with our local government, NHS, but having that statistics number, which will give us more power to do that, and more talking cohesion with the local councils. Jains for Jains all over UK, it is a lovely thing, and I'm glad that this year it looks as if we will make it, because if you look at the number of the question that we have to answer is number 16. So when we get to number 16, we think of Shantinath Dada and we will know the answer to that question. So I'm hoping, not hoping, I am absolutely sure that we are all, as a Jain team of UK, are going to get this census through with the help of our multi-partners in our team. Thank you all for listening, and thank you for giving us this platform. Thank you, Mehul Bhai.
Ushabem, thank you. That's a really wonderful message and also very insightful. I just wanted to ask you one last question, which is, how do you think our joint campaigns have gone in terms of bringing that awareness? Are you confident that the Jain community in Leicester now understands how to answer question 16 and what it is that they should be doing?
Definitely. I think we have promoted, with your help and with the media help, we have promoted this very well in Leicester. And Leicester, we have an event every Sunday, which is tuned in just not by Leicester people, but all over UK. So the message is going out on a regular basis with a support group on a standby for any elderlies that are living by themselves. So we can support them even over the phone or even by zooming them and letting them sort of fill the form in place of them. So I think we are very confident in Leicester that we will get through this by supporting our devotees and by giving a constant message right up to the day of the 21st of March. So
that's lovely. That's lovely to hear.
We should do it.
Thank you so much. And I hope, just like you, all the other Jain organizations are thinking about how to support the elderly and those for whom English may not be a first language in filling out this form, because I think it's going to be critical. But thank you so much. Lovely to have you on our express journey. And from Leicester, I want to go to Ealing. And the reason we're going to Ealing is that the next person on our journey is a consultant surgeon. And the reason we were keen to have a consultant surgeon is because we want you to understand from somebody on the inside what a hospital catering for Jains or not catering for Jains actually means. And so I'm delighted that Dr. Abhay Chopra, who many of you will have seen, is with us here today. Abhay bhai, lovely to have you on our journey today.
Good afternoon, and Jai Janendra. This is Dr. Abhay Chopra. I'm one of the practicing consultant surgeons in London for the last 20 years. I was recently asked about the experience of Jain patients and Jain doctors in hospitals. And I must point out that hospital staffs are usually unaware of Jain as a religion. This does create a lot of small issues for the patient. One of the most important issues is around food, because Jains are pretty strict about their dietary intake and quite frequently would not consume root vegetables like onions and garlic. They also will never have any eggs, meat, or any potential thing that they would consider as harboring life. Now, the pantry staff is unaware of this, and quite frequently I've seen Jain patients being offered eggs as a vegetarian option. Needless to say, that on insisting on a strict Jain diet, most of them are offered either a simple sandwich or some raw salads or fruits. But effectively, that ends up with very suboptimal diet for Jains in a hospital. The second major area of challenge is around chaplaincy. A lot of Jain patients end up in hospitals and they are looking for their own spiritual guidance with Jain chaplaincy, which is almost universally unavailable, with the exception of a few hospitals in West London. Now, this all needs to be addressed because the emotional needs of the Jain patients are equivalent to any other religion. And therefore, would very strongly urge that we look at this idea about how do we educate the staff, both at the reception and the ward, overall increase the awareness around what is Jainism, what are the Jain principles, and why do Jains so strictly adhere to ahimsa or non-violence as a way of life. This simple measure will go a long way to resolve those issues about their food or addressing their diet. At the core remains the idea that they should be identified as Jains, and a Jain census will go a very long way to address this issue. I would definitely recommend that hospitals proactively start asking for Jain as an option when they ask for ethnic origin. A lot of the hospitals merely club Asian, Indian as the only identity. And this is not enough simply because India is a representative society of many different religions, all with their unique requirements. I would strongly urge that we start subclassifying them to identify the things that will actually matter for their well-being and good outcomes. So I would definitely suggest that Jain should be added as a recognized religion in addition to other religions when someone is admitted to a hospital. I'll be very happy to help this endeavor in any way which I can. Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you, Abhay, and for your wonderful message, and thank you for being with us on this journey. So from Ealing, we go back up north to Coventry, and I'm delighted that the Office of National Statistics has sent Sanjay Bhai Jagatia, who is the Community Engagement Manager for the Indian community, to be with us here today. Sanjay Bhai, Jai Jinendra, and Jai Shri Krishna, and welcome to our Gala event. You've heard a lot of messages over the last hour or so. Firstly, just a couple of reflections on what you've heard and the aspirations of the Jain community.
Thank you very much, Mehul Bhai. And first of all, from what we've seen as far as the ONS is concerned, over the last 4 or 5 months in particular, and also 18 months, 3 years before that, the campaign that the Jain community has been leading on has been an inspiration not just to the Jain community, but it's actually led other faiths as well to look at this campaign and saying, and we as part of the ONS feel that the Jain community campaign has been a model campaign, a campaign where engagement that you've actually achieved over the last 3 years with the help of parliamentarians and also the Jain community, it really has been a fantastic campaign that a lot of other people and a lot of other faiths have actually learned from as well, indeed.
And that campaign, I mean, you've heard from Jain community leaders throughout the UK and and India, and one of the things that they are all looking for is a simple awareness of what Jainism is and what the requirements of Jains are. I think it's a very basic requirement. How do you think the census, and especially question 16 on religion, helps with that?
Well, absolutely, Melba. First and foremost, anything that the census and local governments, also central government, can actually take from good data that is collected from the census will obviously help the Jain community in a whole range of things. We've had people on today about how it can help to make sure that we have healthcare chaplains inside hospitals, also Jain vegetarian food, not just in hospitals, but perhaps in schools going forward as well as care homes, crematoria facilities for the Jain community right across the country. Things like, and then we have our very good friend Bob Blackburn MP on the call as well, things like lobbying for Diwali or another Jain festival to be recognized as a national festival or a national day here in the UK. And I know Bob's been working on this previously, but this will give him more ammunition from the Jain community to be able to try and force that through government as well, where the Jain community can have that national holiday. Also, the issues that we have about having priests in our temples, for example, the allocation of priests that may come from India. So, having the data here to show that we're an expanding community, the Jain community, I think that's really, really important for us to be able to use that data. And also, how Jainism is taught in schools. Arya literature, books as well, and textbooks. So these are the type of things that good census data can obviously help the community to lobby, campaign, and also receive the adequate resources and funding, not just from central government or local authorities, but other funders as well who fund the type of activities that the Jain community is already doing. And we've heard so much today about what you're already doing, but funding and resources that may be available to ensure that we sustain that, year in, year out. And I think, one of the key things I'll say to you, Milbai, that first of all, well done that, I've heard our friend Bob Blackman and also Gareth Thomas, who was on earlier on as well, the both MPs, you've managed to teach them to say Jai Jinendra before every speech that they make when they're actually addressing the community. So well done on that, first of all. And also, let's see, in the next couple of years, Mehul Bhai and the Jain community, let's see a member of parliament from the Jain community in the Houses of Parliament, and also let's see a Lord in the House of Lords as well from the Jain community, because unless you're in it, you can't change things. So that's got to be the next campaign as well that the Jain community should look at.
Thank you, Sanjay Bhai, and thank you for those really encouraging comments. And I'd like to say, from the entire Jain community, a big thank you to the ONS for the support that it's given us. To you as a community engagement manager for the support you've given the Jain community, and also to Neil Townsend, who has been on several calls with us, I think 3 or 4 over the last year, and worked with us hand in hand to make sure that things progress. So one last quick question for you. From Monday, people will start receiving envelopes about the census. We're back into the last 3 weeks, and by the 21st, they have to return the census. So once they get these, if they have any questions, comments, need support, what support is the ONS offering the community?
Yes, absolutely. We've got a range of community advisors right across the UK who are on hand to be able to provide any help and support. But what I would really encourage you to do is to actually visit the census website, whereby you've got various help questions on there in various languages, so people can actually look at the census website. On top of that, we have a free phone number as well, which is manned by a range of communities who will be able to speak in the language that you may want to actually have. Because of COVID-19 restrictions, we realize that the phone lines are going to be one of the key things that people can get the information straight away as you're filling in that form. But I would say one thing, that you've done so much over the last 3 months, over the last 18 months, and over the last 3 years in your campaign. These next 3 weeks are perhaps the most critical and the crucial time to ensure that the right boxes are ticked according to your needs, and to be able to make sure that everybody now gears up towards ensuring that when these letters come in through the letterbox in the next 2-3 days, that it's not something that people see as a mail shot and say, okay, I'm going to put this aside for a few days and then not really sort of remember about it. Or even that, when they see an official looking document from
from government, with a stamp on it, with the government stamp, not to get worried about it, because, whatever information is there, there's so much help available. And I know within your own community, the Jain community, you have volunteers on hand as well that will be able to speak to people if people want to communicate with yourselves, to be able to help fill that form in. It's a very simple form. I would, however, encourage you, try to do it online first, because it takes you just 10 minutes to fill that form in, and it's a very much of a tick box exercise, as opposed to having a paper copy. You can request a paper copy for those who are not familiar with online, but try and do the online, because you'll find that it's a lot easier and quicker to fill that census form in.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sanjay Bhai. Thank you again for your support, and we look forward to hearing more from you over the next 3 weeks as we get the census to an end. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So from Sanjay Bhai, I would like to go back to Harrow East and to the Deputy Chair of the Jain All-Party Parliamentary Group, the Honourable Bob Blackman MP. Welcome, Bob.
Jinendra, and well, thank you, Mehul. As Sanjay says, you've educated me well.
And we're absolutely delighted you've made time for us today, and lovely to see you. And Bob, I just wanted to start by reflecting on, the couple of years we've spent driving this campaign. You and I have been to see the Cabinet Office and the ministers there, to the Office of National Statistics, talked about it in Parliament at various events. What are your reflections on, how this campaign has come along?
Well, clearly, the community and indeed Mehul and others, you've campaigned assiduously to try and get Jainism reflected as a religion, both in the electronic version, but also in the written version, the form version of the census. And I think it's the battle we've had is that various religions are trying to achieve this. The Office for National Statistics will say, well, there's not enough space, we can't have every religion, etc. Just reflecting on this, I think one of the issues is that the Office for the ONS are in a position whereby they believe that Jainism is a very small minority religion. I think what we should be looking at to say is, look, hang on, wait a minute. It's not just a very small minority religion. It's a major religion where there is a concentration of people of Jain religion. You mentioned Brent and Harrow, Leicester, and other places in the country. So therefore, it's vitally important that local authorities understand from this perspective of providing local services. We've heard about it from adult social services. We've heard about it on hospitals. We could go through all the various different services that Jains require. So I think it's even more vital this time that we convince as many people as possible to not only complete the census form in its entirety, but to make sure they record things accurately. Because then, I realise this won't come as great news, then when we start the argument about the census in 10 years' time, we will have a good solid weight of evidence behind us to say, look, even despite the fact that you failed to put this as a clear tick box on the form, we've still generated huge numbers of people who follow the Jain religion. And when that data is put down to local authority level, it's going to be very important.
Absolutely, and we're trying to get this up from 20,000 in 2011 to 65,000 as we believe it is today. But there are a couple of interesting factors that I just wonder about, which is that when we looked at the 2011 data, we saw that almost 60% of Jains said English was their first language. 65% had been to university or equivalent, and more than half were working in professional or managerial jobs. And I just wonder whether, because of that, and because looking at a census form, you don't see the word Jain on the front of it, whether what they try and do is be accommodating and just take whatever there is, because and integrate into that, and that's the reason we wanted to make this whole campaign about bringing awareness that there is a way to tick the Jain box.
Yes, indeed, and I think you've hit the nail on the head that most people who follow the Jain religion are well versed in speaking English, so that's not a problem. But there's also a large element who's, as you quite rightly say, where English is not their first language. And it's important that we recognize that, because when people, for example, have to go into hospital, or as they get older and have to go and need care, it's important that local authorities in particular, and local health authorities, provide people to make sure that people do understand the position when they're being given health treatment, and etc. So I think it's all important that people do fill this in. The other problem, of course, that we do face, and we've got to recognise this, is that the religious questions are optional. So you don't have to fill those in, and I think the lessons from the last census is, of course, a lot of people didn't fill them in. Which is why we're underreporting the number of Jains within the community. And it's vitally important that the message goes out, and I know you and others are spreading this message loud and clear, to make sure that on question 16 you fill in tick other, and then fill in Jain. And of course, if you do so online, yes, you'll get that drop down window that gives you the capability to do it. But if you go onto the written format, you'll have to literally write it in, and that's always a drawback, because people will think, oh, I'll just tick the box that I think is right, and the risk is that it does mean that we won't capture everyone that should be captured, and then we'll face the uphill struggle again to try and get Jainism recorded as proper religion on the census in the first place, so that naturally everyone will be able to tick their religion. There's also, I think, a mood amongst certain people to say, well, yes, I'm a form of Hindu, therefore I'll tick Hindu. And it's very important that people understand that it's your specific religion that we do want to capture.
Absolutely, and so I wanted to say, on behalf of the Jain community, firstly, a big thank you for your leadership of the all-party parliamentary group and the tremendous support you've given in getting us to this point in terms of the census. And also to say that, as soon as the census is over, we will be knocking on your door to say, now that we've got the data, let's go and, get it out there and make it work for us. And as you said, hopefully we'll all be around in 2031 to campaign for the next.
Yes, well, of course, I mean, that's the other thing that I would just mention. By the way, don't come knocking on my door before March the 28th because of COVID. We'll have to stay home and stay safe. And it's only after the 29th of March that we can start to reduce down, we hope, the restrictions on going out and so on. But no, I jest, but it is very important. The important thing is that we will not be waiting until 2031 to start campaigning on this issue. Yes. Once the data comes out, we will be starting to campaign straight away. Now, it'll take probably a couple of years. I mean, I'm not sure the ONS can advise us properly. It'll take us some time before we see the data and before we see that data translating down to local authority level. But it's then very important that we start the campaign to say, look, we told you so. We told you that this should be properly recorded, and we start badgering the ONS to understand the importance of doing this right from the word go. And hopefully we will convince them. And I think by the spread of various different religions that there are across the United Kingdom, they'll understand that actually this is quite important to capture everyone's religion. We do think, of course, that the number of people of different religions has grown in this country over the last 10 years. But until we see the census data, we don't know. And I think that's going to be very important.
Absolutely. And, from the Jain community, again, a very big thank you. And hope you carry on staying safe and keeping well. And after the lockdown finishes, we will come knocking.
Jai Jinendra.
Thank you, Jai Jinendra. All the very best. And I'm now going to hand over from here to my colleague, Jesupbai Mehta, to carry on with the rest of the program.
Hi, good afternoon to all. Jai Jinendra. As Mehul Bhai said, my name is Jai Mehta. I'm also a director with the Institute of Jainology and a coordinator of the One Jain panel. I'm taking over the driving of the train, express train that Mehul Bhai started earlier on. So our journey has come to Stanmore, and from Stanmore we'll move into Barnet. Now, many of you would have watched the two webinars we ran about a fortnight ago or 3 weeks ago on the COVID-19 and the vaccinations. These were highly successful and very, very popular with the Jain community and the wider community. We had audiences of over 27,000 people. Now, these webinars were presented by the Jain Health Initiative team. The team was formed maybe 6 weeks ago, but they've been working very hard in the background to get a system organized so that One Jain is able to provide a very high quality health advisory service to the community. And the team, we have two parts of the team. There is a technical team and there is the steering team. Now, today we have somebody from the steering team, and it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Amit Bakai, a highly respected consulting surgeon in Barnet. He's a cardiologist surgeon, and he's very well known to the community. He's been around for quite a while, and he's a willingness to help anybody with a problem. He's very well known. He is the strategic leader for the health initiative team, and he's going to talk about what our purposes are from now onwards. So I'll invite Amit Bhai to come and take the stage and explain to you what he wants to, how we should be progressing on the health initiative. And he would be followed by Namish Mehta, who's the president of GITO UK and also a member of the Jain Health Initiative steering team. So Amit Bhai, welcome, and request you to give your address.
Jai Jinendra, everybody, and it's a great pleasure to be here. And Jaisuk Bhai and Mehul, I've got a lovely surprise for you in the background here. I hope you like it. This is the census website. I actually started taking my own census today because you can actually tap online. There's question 16 that we all want you to type the word Jain into the box, or even just write the word Jain and tick other for religion. And so that's already there. And I think a lot of the ground that I'm going to talk about has been covered, but I'm just going to bring that back to light. So what is the importance of how a census can help with your health planning, can help the Jain community? So to answer that, I've actually put together a few slides here that I'm hoping will tell you. So March the 21st is the day in the question of the census, but you can actually start your census today. You can actually click Start Census. You can actually put your mobile number in. It will send you a code to your mobile after you've verified your postcode, and you can actually start preparing that census and complete question 16 already from today onwards. And I started doing that this morning. This is the question that you will see that you need to say other in terms of religion, and then write the word Jain. And how does this help our health benefits? So there is also a really important extra piece in the census. Imagine this: the census has been going since 1801. Imagine we are the only country in the world that has 220 years of the most amazing data that looks at people and actually their health. It actually asks a question: how is your general health? How is your physical, your mental health? Are you caring for others? And how much time of yours is spent caring for others outside of work? It is the most amazing repository. And the really precious, important thing, I'm sure Sanjay will agree with me, is that this census may be one of the last censuses to occur. It costs us almost £1 billion this year to put this census on, and maybe more because of COVID, to get 30,000 people to help us complete the census. In 2001, it cost us £250 million. In 2011, it was up to about £500 million. People don't spend this sort of money anywhere else in the world. We are so blessed to be in a country that cares about its population and its groups. And I won't dwell on all of these sorts of benefits. I won't read out everything. It's there on YouTube for you to see later on. But there are so many ways that the census will help our health itself as a Jain community. First of all, you identify yourselves as Jain. Then you say what your faith needs are. Then you say what your catering needs are, your spiritual needs, whether you want yoga centers, whether you want well-being meditation centers. You can make those sorts of lobbying only with the data is there for you to our councillors, to our MPs, to our government, and to our providers, etc. We can also choose green businesses. We can actually find out which Jains are running which businesses or working for which businesses in those actual censuses. It is incredible. We could even ask in Harrow for a special holiday, Mara Jayenti as a holiday. Wouldn't that be an amazing thing to think about? If we look at the role of public health data, we know that as Jains, we suffer a lot from diabetes, heart disease, cancer, kidney disease. Mehul and Abhay mentioned to you that these are all the things that we go into hospitals with. And what I would love to do is to never let you have to see me in a hospital setting. Never see me in a cardiology center, because we've prevented your heart attacks. We've got your blood pressure right. We've got your cholesterol right. We've got you mobilized. We've really motivated you to look after yourselves, to take your vaccines, etc., your flu vaccines. So these are all so many different ways that the census can actually tell us where do we need to put our actual resources. Now, imagine this. Imagine knowing that all our pharmacies could stock medicines that don't have any animal products in them. Imagine that the Harrow pharmacies give us that option. Imagine we say to big pharma companies, we want you to find us medicines without testing them on animals. We could actually hold to the Jain principles of doing minimal harm for the maximum gain. Imagine those sorts of things about antibiotics, not taking them unless we need them. Imagine ways that Jainism and health can go hand in hand, and then participating in DNA registers for stem cell donors, etc. Imagine being able to take research in Jainism, the way we live, the minimalism with which we live, and showing that we have less cancer, less heart disease, less mental health, less depression, and we have better mobility and better longevity. If we could do all of these things with the health data and the census data combined into a research database, we might be able to show the world a better way to live entirely. This is the rare opportunity we get once in a lifetime, the 2021 census, to actually state that you're a Jain, and the way you live and the way you die and the way you're born will actually be correlated with that information. It is crucial. It might be the only time in the entire world that we can actually show a community of Jains and what their health is like, etc. This is an example of what Jaisuk Bhai has told you, the One Jain Health Initiative. We saw that over the age of 80, when COVID vaccine, a really critically important landmark event, was being offered to everybody, that the Asians, the South Asians, weren't taking up those vaccines because of myths. So we undertook these sorts of events. Look at the sorts of events we've put on in the last 6 weeks alone and the reach that has had. We know that the Hive in Harrow was visited by Boris Johnson because it was the most efficient vaccination center in the country. And so we know that we have actually busted all the myths, all the uncertainties, and all the debates and doubts people had, and managed to get our community right out there for vaccinations so that we have the lowest did not attend rates of anything now. So we are really winning, but we cannot do this without you stating who you are and then helping us with our survey. We wish to do a survey of our Jain community's needs to say, how can we help you more? What do you need from us? Do you need specialists in mental health? Do you need specialists in children's services? Do you need specialists in obstetrics, gynecology, psychology? What is it you require from us, and how can we help you more? So we will be putting on a census later on through the One Jain organization to ask you, what are the 2 ways that we can meet to have prevention? So finally, just to say, the UK is one of the most amazing places for data. Just look at this sort of data in the public domain. This is the MHRA yellow card system. 7.5 people having vaccines. We actually donate this sort of information to say who has side effects, and only 1 in 250 to 1 in 350 people report such side effects, and they're there for everybody to see. And what are those sorts of side effects? We can see that people get fevers, people get muscle aches, And they get that about 2 to 4% of the time with the first dose. But 96% of people, hundreds of thousands of people, no side effects whatsoever from the vaccine. And even after the second dose, if you had any doubts or debates, only 10% for 2 days get any side effects. And then 96 to 98% of people have no side effects by day 4. This is a sort of reassurance that our data can give us. We live in a society where data is shared with each other to help each other overcome, to gain confidence. We are so blessed when we see curves like this. This is the NHS. Basically, I'm finishing here. This is the NHS staff saying, if you vaccinate as a staff member, a healthcare professional, you're protecting yourself, you're protecting others, you're protecting your family, and you're protecting your patients. Rare initiative. So last slide here. These are the multiple ways of health promotion. The definition of health promotion, enabling people to increase control over and to improve their own health. You're responsible. As a community, we're responsible. We're all responsible for health. We can do these sorts of events. And I'm going to hand over to my good friend Nemish Mehta to tell you how the Jain Health Initiative has come about to address and tackle this. But remember, census is here and Jain, and that is what you need to do. Take other like Jain and be proud of your identity.
Hi, thank you, Amit. Can you hear me? Am I coming across well? Yeah, great. So that was Dr. Amit Bakai, very passionate, and the health strategy lead for the JHI project. I was going to talk about JHI, but given the theme of the event, I think what we really need to understand here is that one of the really interesting things we found out since the Jain Health Initiative was started is that we have a ratio in the Jain community of somewhere close to 1 medic for every 80 lay people. And that is a truly phenomenal ratio. We are very, very rich in medical talent. If you think that out of all our children, 1 in 80 becomes a doctor or a consultant or a surgeon or a GP, pharmacist, we are very blessed. And it's very important in the census that we gather that data so that there is power when the analysis of profession is done, that we can show that as a community we are extremely well educated and we're out there helping people on the front line. And when a doctor like Amit Bakai or Abhay Chopra goes and says something on behalf of a community, they would have the numbers to back them up, to actually show that they have enough people behind them to make their voice extremely valuable. So that is a really interesting thing, and just for that reason, it would be fantastic to say that Jains have a very high percentage of medics in their community. Just as Mehul Bhai said that 65% go to university, maybe out of that 65%, 5% are GPs or doctors. So that is one very interesting thing. The other thing is that the Jain Health Initiative is a cross-platform initiative. We want it to work for all Jains everywhere in the UK. It doesn't matter which group you belong to, but it's an open platform staffed by Jains from every community for Jains in every community. And we want to help as many people as we can. At the moment we're doing webinars. One Jain have kindly offered a space on their website to put up resource that people can look at after the webinars are finished. And we are looking at a more direct contact system so that we can use a telephone line perhaps, or an email system, or a video conferencing. People can call up, speak to somebody in Gujarati or Hindi or English, for those of us still with English as a first language, and actually get a response and actually get some help on what to do and how to do it. So there is a lot of potential in this project. And we really need the help of all the community leaders, all the community members, to really get this message out to everybody. And the first step right now would be to choose other, select Jain before the 21st of March. You can do it now. If you need it by post, please write to them now to say, I want the envelopes to come in now. Thank you very much. Jaisukbhai, you're on mute.
All right. Thank you, Amit Bhai, and thank you, Namish Bhai. Very useful and important messages for the community as to what you can do for them, but more importantly, what they can do for themselves. So let's hope that the future JHI events are well attended and you are able to provide the services our community would be looking for. Now we come to a more interesting part of our, not more interesting, but a very enjoyable part of our event today. Whilst thinking about this event, we decided that we will also include some children to participate in our campaign. And I think Hiren Bhai talked about this earlier on, that including the children in our campaign would mean that children would inspire their parents to look at what the census campaign was about. And also, more importantly, inculcate the values of being Jain at very young age in these children. So we set up a competition for children to create something, create an artistic video clip or just a mural for presenting as a part of a competition as to what they thought about the Jain campaign. And we were very surprisingly shocked that so many children had decided to participate. And the quality of the entries that came in were exceptionally good. That our two judges, Vinod Bhai Kapasi and Sudhaben Kapasi, didn't really know what entries to select. Now you've already seen two of the entrants. Now we're going to see, well, I'll announce the names of the winners of the other competitions. Let me get the names. And right, we had two groups in the competition. The first one was the junior group for children up to the age of 10. Now you've seen the 3-year-olds presenting their entries. Now this is the extent of our I think we can be very proud of our campaign that we reached that far and are able to get to a 3-year-old child and say, please do something for the census campaign. So the prize number 3 for the junior campaign, up to 10 years old competition goes to Kaya Ankit. She's 4 years old. Then second prize goes to Ariha Shah, and she is 3-year-old. And the winner of the junior group is 3-year-old Dhyani Saurabh Shah. Everybody saw her. She was singing a song about how can we, well, you can see their pictures now. There is the Dhyani and there is the Ariha, both 3-year-old, and they've done a wonderful job. And after that, we have the seniors group. The prize winner for the number 3 of 10 upwards group was Anchi Haria, 11-year-old. And the second prize went to Prisha Jain, 12-year-old. And now we will see the entry that flabbergasted everybody who saw it. Let's see the entry before I announce the names. So can we run the video can we show first of all, yeah, we've seen the slides for the entrance. Now, if you can see the entry for the prize and the winner's entry.
Jai Jinendra, and hello. Welcome back to News Flash, where we give you your news flash. We have a very important message to tell you. A census is going to take place. Census થવાનું છે. As you may be aware, every 10 years, the government takes a census of everyone in the UK, and it is compulsory for them to take part in. This census allows the government to get a better understanding of the services to provide in hospitals, schools, and community needs. આ સેન્સસ એકદમ મહત્વનો છે અને બધાને ભાગ લેવાનો જ છે. તેનાથી સરકાર આપણી જરૂરિયાતમાં મદદ કરી શકશે, જેમ કે હોસ્પિટલ અને નિશાળમાં. So when will the next census take place? The next census is actually quite soon, on 21st March 2021. The forms will be sent out earlier that month, and there is both a paper copy and a digital one. Census 21મી માર્ચમાં થવાનું છે. તમે ટપાલમાં એક ફોર્મ આવશે અથવા કમ્પ્યુટરમાં પણ આ ફોર્મ ભરી શકશો. Make sure you don't miss this. When filling out the census, question 16 asks about your religion. You will see Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Judaism, Sikhism, Buddhism, and even no religion. But where is Jainism? There is no option for Jainism. So what are we supposed to do? Most Jains just take Hinduism. But that is wrong. You must choose other, select Jain. જ્યારે તમે 16મા પ્રશ્નમાં પહોંચશો ત્યારે તમે પૂછવામાં આવશે કે તમારું ધર્મ શું છે. ત્યાં ઘણા ધર્મ લખેલા હશે, જેમ કે ક્રિશ્ચિયાનિટી, ઇસ્લામ, હિન્દુઇઝમ, જુડાઇઝમ, સિખિઝમ, બુદ્ધિઝમ અને નો રિલિજન પણ લખેલું હશે. પણ જૈનિઝમ ક્યાં છે? ત્યાં જૈનિઝમ છે જ નહીં. આપણા માટે એકદમ મહત્વ છે કે આપણે અધર સિલેક્ટ કરે અને તેની નીચે જૈનિઝમ લખે. If 50,000 people select Jain, then only will the government prepare a booklet for service providers to help them cater for our needs. જો 50,000 જૈનોની વસ્તી સેન્સસમાં આવશે તો જ સરકાર જૈનો માટે અલગ સગવડોની વ્યવસ્થા કરશે. Remember, each and every one of you will make a difference. So choose other, select Jain.
Right, that entry was by Sanvi Haria, a 13-year-old girl. An excellent entry, and I'm sure everyone will agree that she's made a very creative and imaginative video clip. Also, we talked so much about English being the first language of so many of us. Now you can see a 13-year-old can speak fluent Gujarati and very clear Gujarati. So let's say hello to Sanvi. Sanvi, are you online?
Jai Jinendra.
Jai Jinendra, Sanvi. Many congratulations to you. You've done an excellent video.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's really good, and many congratulations. Now, I'll ask you a couple of things. What inspired to create this video?
Well, when I go to school, we learn about like all the religions, and everyone knows about those, but we don't ever learn about Jainism. So when I heard about this competition, I thought it would be a perfect opportunity to help spread awareness about Jainism and to help spread awareness about choosing other and selecting Jain.
Did you discuss the video with your friends, your teachers, or your parents as to what you're going to create and how you will present it?
I told my parents about how I would do this, and they helped me they helped me decide how to do it as well, and they agreed that it was a really good idea.
Excellent idea, not a good idea, excellent idea. Now, during this lockdown, you've been at home most of the time. What do you do apart from your studies and school hours? Do you play with videos and things? Or?
Yeah, because the weather's been really nice recently, so I go out into the garden and play with my sister.
Oh, right, okay. And are you looking forward to going back to school?
Yeah, definitely, because I can't wait to meet my friends again.
All right, okay. Now, question for you. If you had an option that you were to fill up the census form, would you fill up one?
Definitely, yes. I would love to fill it out.
Okay. And if you had the option, what would you classify your religion as? I know the answer.
Jainism.
Jainism.
Everyone needs to select other and put Jainism.
Great. Now you've done very well. Now we'll be sending, in fact, we'll be sending out certificates to all the participants. We are very grateful to the participants who at a very short notice agreed to submit their applications. And they're all good. Unfortunately, we can give only so many prizes, but we will be issuing a merit certificate to all the participants. And please, all of them, please accept our sincere thanks for joining us in this campaign. And the first 3 winners in each group will also be receiving some book vouchers. Thank you very much. Now, just to lighten our minds, we've been through not a heavy afternoon, but something that made us think quite a bit. Now, to lighten our minds, we're going to listen to a bhajan by Bhavik Haria. Bhavik had kindly agreed to do a bhajan for us, and he's recorded it specially for us only last Thursday evening. It's called Uncha Uncha Shatrujena Mountains. So now we'll invite Bhavik to come and give recite the stavan for us.
ऊंचा ऊंचा शत्रुंजयना शिखरो सोहाय ऊंचा ऊंचा शत्रुंजयना शिखरो सोहाय वच्चे मारा दादा केरा जगमग था ऊंचा 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 शत्रुंजयना शिखरो सोहाय दादा तारी यात्रा करवा मारो मन ललचाय मारो मन ललचाय तड़े थी ए शीश नमावी चढ़वाला गोपाय चढ़वाला गोपाय पावन गिरि ने स्पर्श था पापो दूर पला ऊंचा 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 शत्रुंजयना शिखरो सोहाय ऊंचा ऊंचा शत्रुंजयना शिखरो सोहाय वच्चे मारा दादा केरा जगमग था ऊंचा 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 शत्रुंजयना शिखरो सोहाय ऊंचा ऊंचा शत्रुंजयना शिखरो सोहाय ऊंचा ऊंचा शत्रुंजयना शिखरो सोहाय.
Thank you, Bhavik. Bhau Barelu Stavan Hatu. Very nice. Thank you very much. Okay, now from the messages that have come across, it's very pleasing to see that those who attended the event have found the event very useful. And hopefully, this will turn into large numbers turning up to register as Jains. Now, all that remains for me to do is to say thank you to all those who made this event possible. So first of all, it's the audience. Without the audience, there won't be any purpose in doing a program. So thank you all, everybody who attended the event. Then we have to thank the Acharyajis who gave the blessings for our event. It's Acharya Shri Mahashramanji, Acharya Shri Hemprab Maharaj Sahib, Acharya Shri Chandaji Maharaj Sahib, Muni Shri Vir Sagar Maharaj Sahib, and Param Pujya Bhai Shri. After that, we have the community leaders, Shri Hiren Bhai Vora of Jain Samaj Manchester, Shri Nilesh Bhai Shah of the Oswal Association of the UK, Shri Ketan Bhai Adani of the Navnath Manik Association of the UK, Shri Yogesh Bhai Rayani of Mahavir Foundation, and Srimati Ushaben Mehta of Jain Samaj Europe. Right, then we have our officials, Right Honorable Gareth Thomas, MP, who is the chairperson for Jain APPG, Right Honorable Bob Blackman, MP, who is the deputy chair of the Jain APPG, then Sanjay Jagatia of the Office of the National Statistics, Dr. Abhay Chopada, consultant surgeon, Mr. Amit Bakhai, consultant surgeon, strategy lead for the JHI, Mr. Nemish Mehta, who is not listed here, but obviously he came and told us about the JHI. He is the president of GITO UK. Then all the competitors for our competition, we thank them sincerely for having joined us. And then we also thank Young Jains and Ilaben Shah for marketing our event. Thank you very much. And in case I have forgotten to thank anyone, please accept my apologies and consider that we have you in our hearts. Thank you. Safe journey home. Thank you very much.